Hello, it's Besta and Steve, and we are a married couple living here in Lisbon, Portugal. Welcome to week 8.
Thanks for watching these videos. This week we're talking about severed heads and unfamiliar beds. So before we start talking about that, we had a couple little nuggets about Portuguese life we wanted to start with.
Yeah.
One of the things I think is really cool, now I don't know if this is a Portuguese thing, most likely it might be a European thing.
Probably.
We will find that out. But on all the plastic bottles of all the different types, when you unscrew it, the bottle top stays connected. And when we were first here last June, and I did this, I was like, why won't my top come off my water bottle? It was so weird. I couldn't figure it out. And then I was like, oh, this is really smart because you don't lose it. It doesn't you don't lose the top. It doesn't fall on the floor, whatever. And then it stays attached. Put it right back on. So all the plastic containers are like this. They all have the attached top. I just think this is really smart.
You know what's weird is now when one does come off, it feels weird to me. So I've already adapted to that small little intricacy.
You're that much of a brute that you're just ripping right off?
Apparently. You have to be gentle.
Anyway, I think this is very cool. The other thing that we've noticed as we're walking around the city of Lisbon is that there were all of these sort of college-aged people wearing these long black capes. Yeah. And it's so cool. But they're wearing these long black capes, and we kept wondering, who are these people? Are we at Hogwarts? What's going on? Why is it like this? And then you found the answer.
I did. We first saw them on the metro, and they were headed to an event, and we thought it was an Easter thing. We were very confused. But come to find out, they are university students, and this originated, I believe, at the University of Coimbra, and now it's like this Portuguese thing where the students get black capes, they dress a traditional black, and it's kind of like their way of saying, this is our community, this is our graduation class, and it also, everybody dresses the same, so you can't tell who's from where. It's like an equality thing too, which I think is really neat.
Sort of like a school uniform, but these beautiful women, and they're in these very detailed black and gray uniforms, and they have these long black capes, and it's just really cool. I love that Seinfeld episode where the man wears the cape and they all freak out because why is this man wearing a cape? He's wearing a cape around town randomly. But here it's like a cultural thing, and they're not like little capes. They go to the floor, to the knee almost, or past.
Yeah,
and they're long.
And the men too. It's not just the women. It's both genders do wear.
Yeah, we saw a college age male walking down our street yesterday in dressed for class in the full cape, and I just think it's so cool. We need more capes. I think capes are cool. Of course, I'm a Superman fan. I like capes, but no, sorry, Edna Mode, no capes, I know, but I think they're cool. So thanks for watching week 8 of living in Portugal. So the day that we're recording this is April 25th. This is a very big day in Portugal.
It is, and we're excited to go out and about later to kind of check it out. But today is Freedom Day, which marks 52 years since a revolution overthrew the dictatorship, and Portugal became on the path of becoming the democracy it is today. And so 52 years seems like a short amount of time for us as Americans, but it's so cool that they were able to, this country is so old that they have this new democracy, it's thriving, and it was a bloodless revolution, which I really liked. So there was no combat to the streets, anything like that. And the dictator eventually just kind of went to the National Guard and faded away. So it was dramatic, but not in the traditional way. And I love that we have seen so many carnations on everybody.
All right, it was called the Carnation Revolution because on April 25th, 1974, there was this big change. The dictator went away. The people started the democracy, and the story, if I understand it, is that they put carnations, either gave them to the soldiers or put them in the barrels of the guns. Sort of a classic peace sort of thing. So the Carnation Revolution was on April 25th. They renamed one of the bridges here.
There's a huge bridge that crosses the Tagus River, which looks kind of like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, smaller scale, but it's a beautiful bridge. And after April 25th of that year, they changed its name because from what I read, it was used to kind of blockade any support coming in to assist the regime that was on its way out peacefully. So to mark that occasion and to mark the day, ever since it has been called the April 25th Bridge, which of course in Portuguese is 25 de Abril bridge. I can't remember how to say bridge. Ponte, maybe?
But that's nice. Good job.
Thanks.
So severed heads. Why severed heads?
Because we saw one.
We did see one, and you just wrote about it. And you have a new Substack blog. It's just very cool, everybody. How do we find it?
I do. If you go to substack.com and search for my username, which is Paranormal Muscle Bear, silly name I know, but I like scary, spooky things, and in the gay community, I'm considered a muscle bear, so combine the two things. And I've written like 3 or 4 now. And when we were here earlier this year, I became fascinated with the story of the Lisbon aqueducts, the Aquas Libres, which brought water into Lisbon. But what really caught my attention was in the 1830s, there was a aqueduct serial killer who became known as the aqueduct killer. And I found out that the gentleman who was allegedly responsible for these murders had his head whenever he was hanged, and that it was preserved somewhere in Lisbon.
So you wrote one really interesting blog post about it. We are not allowed to, you can see, here's the photo here. We're not allowed to show the picture, but you can see the picture of the severed head with you on the blog post. So go to Substack, if nothing else, just to see the picture. It's very cool. I love that you're doing this. So you guys subscribe if you can to his blog. And of course, I have a blog at my website as well. You can find all of our stuff at bestjaandsteve.com.
Yeah, the blog is free, so feel free to check it out, and you'll get an email every time that we publish one. And there's a picture of you and I with the severed head as well.
I was there.
The story. You were there.
I was there. So it's actually it was a really fun, crazy day, and I love the way that you wrote about it. So everybody check that out. So we had severed heads and then unfamiliar beds. So we started doing traveling, and we spent 2 nights in a very comfortable but unfamiliar bed because we traveled by car.
Yeah, we rented a car, which is the first time we've driven here in Portugal. And again, very familiar to the States. You drive on the right-hand side, the steering wheel's on the familiar side. So that's all very familiar.
So the idea that you need to worry about that if you want to rent a car and go somewhere when you're visiting Portugal, that's not a problem. So we went to São Martinho do Porto, which is over on the Silver Coast of Portugal, as it's called. Beautiful place. Our friends Tom and Don were there. They treated us like royalty for 3 days. We had a fantastic visit with them. We were doing a recording, making a video for Portugal the Place, which we'll share with you later, about them. Portugal the Place helped them find their new home, set up their new life, just like they helped us find ours. So it was a wonderful visit. And while we were there, and we saw Colleen and Clive from Portugal the Place, it was wonderful to see them as well. But we did visit São Martinho do Porto, and that video is available.
The town is absolutely stunning, and it has all these amazing overlooks. There's this beautiful crescent-laked lagoon or bay that has a small entryway into the Atlantic Ocean, and we did felt like mountain climbing. Luckily, we had the car, so it made it easier. And you can see these sweeping views of the Atlantic Ocean, of the bay, of the village. We saw some monuments. We walked through a really cool tunnel that takes you through the mountain and over to the Atlantic side. It was just a spectacular morning.
Yeah, it's a great place. It's sort of a resort city. It's very popular in the summertime, of course, when people are coming to this beautiful bay, natural occurring bay, to enjoy the summer weather and the beach and everything else. So check that video out on, of course, Best and Steve YouTube. Really interesting. We also went to Óbidos.
Yes. So Óbidos is a medieval town that has a castle that is considered one of the 7 wonders of Portugal. So again, we've said this before. I love me a good castle. I'll go into any castle. But this was a walled fortress, not just a castle. And we went and we spent a couple hours there.
More than that. We were there a good bit. But the thing is cool is, like, you hear about these medieval cities that are surrounded by the wall, but there it is. It's still there. The small little doors, entryways into this sort of fortress city was really beautiful. Now, I have to tell you, I'm not great with heights. Like we've mentioned before, there's these miraduros, these overlooks all over Portugal. And after being in Florida where everything's flat, it's amazing to be up on a cliff and overlooking a city or a bay or whatever. So that's really amazing. But on this castle wall,
there was no guardrail. There's nothing.
No, it's like there's a little bit of a wall, like with a little fortress on one side, and then right there, straight down to your death.
Yeah. So, and the walls are huge. I mean, it goes around this whole town. So I walked the whole thing, which is absolutely beautiful. You can climb up into a couple of the towers. So it's a lot of fun until you have to pass somebody. Then you have to kind of make a nonverbal deal on who goes where. But I loved it. I would love to go back and see it again. And then we had a wonderful lunch down in the middle of this little town before we headed back to Lisbon.
So watch for that video about Óbidos coming up soon. But we've loved the travel, and the thing that we feel good about is with each week that passes as we're living here in Portugal, we're getting more familiar, more comfortable. This felt like another milestone, I think, for us to get in the car, go somewhere, and be successful doing it.
We've done some travel through, train and bus, but I think driving gives you a different perspective, of how the roads work and what connects where, figuring out roundabouts. So there's a lot of things where it just changes the way that you travel, I feel like. But everything is so accessible. And again, Portugal is not a big country based on what we're used to. So it's fairly easy to get where you want to go and see, but there's so much to see. And I have to throw this in there. One of my favorite things we did recently was visit an old Roman road.
Yeah, where can people find your video about that?
It is on our Instagram. It is also here on our YouTube channel. This just standing on a road that dates back to the 1st century. It was just like mind blowing for me. And it was in the middle of nowhere. It was in this beautiful hill. Absolutely loved it. And that was near Porto de Mos, which is where we stopped before we went to go visit our friends.
So we are loving being adventurous. I encourage you to be adventurous. Find somewhere near you that you want to go explore, go visit. And have some fun. It's been fun to do that.
It's been a lot of fun. And we're learning as we go too, which is great.
So please subscribe, keep watching. If you found this video fun and interesting at all, please share it with somebody. And we look forward to keep these coming.
Absolutely. And continue to drop the comments. We're always looking for suggestions on what we should go see and do and explore. Whether you are a native and a local here or visiting or whatever, we love communicating with people. So thank you so much for all the comments and the support.
And we're going to head out today on another adventure, which is to celebrate April 25th, Freedom Day here in Portugal. Can't wait. Everybody have a great day.